Welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, with host Zaki Baruti. And like always, I want to give a shout out to my biological family. What's happening? To the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's going on? And to New Life Evangelistic Center family headed by Reverend Rice. Keep up the great work, and a shout out to our cameraman, Bob. On that note, we're going to have another great show because in studio, I have a history maker with me in the field of law enforcement. And many of you know I'm very critical of law enforcement on different levels, although I recognize we have to have law enforcement. And I'm speaking none other than the police chief of Northwoods, my good friend for a number of years, Brother Dennis Shireff. Welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti.
Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful day. Giving all praises to God and to the organization called the African Peoples Organization. You all have been with me throughout my struggle and through my venture. It is a pleasure knowing you and supping and having time with you and all other black organizations who have been in the fight with me and uplifting me in my sadness when I go down and uplifting me in my good times when I'm trying to relay a message to the community that is suffering the most out of any communities all over this world.
Well, you know, and I appreciate that. You know, I introduced you as a history maker because in several recent articles it was pointed out that you are the very first Islamic police chief in the state of Missouri. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I heard that and I was pretty elated to know that. You know, Islam is my gift from God to uplift our people and to move forward. And I'm thankful to him that the struggle that I have gone through Islam has been a very difficult one because people have their own beliefs and their beliefs aren't what I expect for them to be. They're expecting and they look at Islam as a hateful religion. They look at it as a militant organization and everything other than what it is. Islam means peace. And that's what we try to bring about, peace in Islam, peace in the law, and the law of righteousness and doing right, especially within your community, which is the community that's suffering the most, the African-American community.
Absolutely. You know, usually I start the program off asking my guests to share wherever information that they would like for our viewers to know about them. Share a little bit, and I want to get into some of your history so people are clear why, you know, we have always supported you. So, but before you get too deep into that, I want to ask some questions, but for whatever reason, for whatever you want to share with people about you, would you please do?
Well, the one thing about me, and first I like to say, I have to give God all praises. That's first. Secondly, about me is my love for my community and why I decided to take this path, or why God chose me to take this path called the path of law, and why the name came about from Dennis McLean to Dennis Shireff. And it was given to me by an elder, Sultan Muhammad, and the Tahi Youth Group. He and Brother Anthony Shaheed, that's where I started in the Cochrane years and years ago as a young police officer. And when I heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan and so many others, Jeremiah Wright and those guys, I was really elated, but it took me on a venture and it led me to where I am now. But in the process of going through that venture, I've never thought that I would be a policeman, but this gentleman by the name of Freeman Bosley Sr.
Wow.
He was out voting one day, and he was out campaigning, and he looked at me, he said, "You're a nice gentleman," and he talked to my mom and told her that would I be interested in the police department, and I said, sure. I was always interested in law enforcement, and then he noticed that I was always up at Herbert Hoover Boys Club on the swim team, and I got a swim scholarship to South Carolina State. And when I came back,
damn, you don't have to teach me how to swim. I know.
Yes, I was one of the first. You know, you wouldn't find back in those days too many African American swimmers.
Right.
But we made the we placed 7th in the Olympic trials years and years ago. It was and our team was pretty good. But moving right along, once I got on the police department, there were things that happened that brought me to where I am today. And I was in K-9 one day, and they didn't want me to have a dog. They felt as though I was too young, and this was a prestigious position to have K-9, to be in K-9, and then to be black and young, coming on the police department at 1 year. And I was able to get into K-9 through the help of some of the black commanders there. And when I got there, I was always taught, it's us against them. You're with us now. And that code of silence.
Us against them, you mean the police department against the
community. Right. And I never understood that until that day when I ran across a young man who was shot by a white officer, and they huddled up and got together and decided that they were going to get their story together, per se. And when I went and I started yelling, because that day my dog was looking for the guy, and he found him, but the dog didn't bite him like he was supposed to. And I found that odd. And I asked the guy, why did he run? And he was dying on me. He eventually died while I was talking to him. And it was a light that came on. Hey, we need to reevaluate, reassess who we are as a person in uniform, a black man in uniform. And when I started doing that, a spirit moved on me, and I started yelling, you killed him, you killed him. And before you know it, they were all angry with me. So my sergeant took.
So about how many officers were angry with you?
It was about 15 to 20 officers, and they were mainly white, and they were the Mobile Reserve Unit at the time. And they decided to tell my supervisor, who brought me to the station, who took me to our commander of the whole entire unit, K-9 in traffic. And he decided to tell me that, you're not a piece of the puzzle that fits around here.
Wow.
You're not a team player.
Hold that thought. We have to take our first break.
I thank God for my friend Zaki Baruti. So many times we have been together out on the lines demonstrating against this injustice and that injustice. He's been such a part of the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. So many times Zaki Baruti and his team would join us out in front of St. Louis City Hall. I just remember the time that we stood up for a woman that had died in a jail in Richmond Heights, and as we marched all the distance from Clayton down to the St. Mary's Hospital where she'd been turned away, Zaki was with us. There are so many that are hurting at this particular time. We need to let our light shine. We need to be the salt that Christ has called us to be. I want to encourage you to join Zaki Baruti, myself, and our other partners at the New Life Evangelistic Center as we celebrate 50 years of God's faithfulness. We have a big banquet that's planned in January, many events leading up to that, many throughout next year as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of New Life Evangelistic Center. Why don't you become directly involved at this time and be a part of the planning committee? Call us at 314-421-3020. Go to www.newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. See all the opportunities available to you. The time has come for us to be the salt that Christ has called us to be, to let our light so shine before men and women they may see our good works and glorify our Father who's in heaven. We've desired to do that for 50 years now here at the New Life Evangelistic Center, but now we need you joining us. So please get directly involved now. I'll look forward to receiving your phone call at 314-421-3020, or hearing from you, seeing you at the planning meetings, that and much more. May God truly bless you as we move on into a new generation of direct service and advocacy.
What a mighty God we serve.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is a history maker, the first Missouri police chief of a municipality that is of the Islamic faith. And on the other side of the break, you were describing the point that that you began to see policing in a whole different light, and that you were not a team player per your commanding officer.
Yes, I began to speak out on that based upon him telling me that I wasn't a team player. And he made some very strong statements
Approximately
to me.
what year was that?
Oh, we're looking at the early 90s.
Early 90s, okay. And this is with the
St. Louis
Department.
Metropolitan Police Department. And that's when my trouble began.
So with that said, let me interject, because it was right around that time, I was a member, our organization was part of the Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression. We had had a series of high-profile police killings that we were speaking out on, as well as calling for community control of the police department. And that's probably right at that time that I met you, and you were among just a handful of police officers that we had a lot of respect for, because you were being outspoken and crucified at the same time.
Yes.
For your outspokenness of seeing what was going on in the police department. So as first of all, how long were you with the St. Louis Police Department?
I left in 2003.
2003.
And I had 17 and a half years.
17, okay then.
Right at 18.
Now, during that period of time, so that was your first interaction where you were outspoken on the issue, about how you felt that brother was, that young man ended up being killed then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were there other incidents that...
There were other incidences that I couldn't go along with, but after making that statement and I was in that unit, K9 Mobile, we were, Mobile Reserve, during the time we supported the Mobile Reserve unit. And when they had problem areas, they would go in the community and, handle those problem areas, drugs and guns and things of that nature. And we would go in if they needed a K9. But thereafter that meeting with that commander, and he specifically told me that I wasn't a piece of the puzzle that fits. And I don't know who I'm playing with, and I can come up missing. And yes, he said all of that to me.
Wow.
He said all of that to me. And it stuck with me. And then I saw policing in a different perspective. But really, this was what I believe God was calling me for. And I went on this spiritual journey. And that's when I got tied up with the Tahi Youth Group. And then I really started listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and other prominent ministers who were, in the freedom fighting movement. And I ran across the Universal African Peoples Organization and, the Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression is Jamala Rogers and several other people. And I started galvanizing around that, and I started looking and searching for, where was my place in society and what was I supposed to do? And then there was an incident involving a young man by the name of Julius Thurman.
Yes.
Julius Thurman was an incident that was really, really horrific. And it touched my heart because his mother still today hasn't had justice.
Right, Miss Virginia Thurman.
Miss Virginia Thurman has not had justice. And to not be able to understand losing a son at that time, but being sympathetic, but not really feeling that spirit of losing a child, I couldn't understand, but I was really hurt that she was hurt, and seeing that she was a black female mother who loved her kid, and he was beaten just unidentifiably to the point it just reminded me of Emmett Till, the way that he looked. And to go out, and I was the only black police officer when they had the trial of Bobby Dotson, and I believe I don't know his first name, Kaplivic.
Yeah.
Kaplivic was his last name. Right. And they were walking, and they had the police association surrounding them like it was a military. I mean, it was really, really a sight to see. And I was out taking pictures. And when I did that, they came, and I was president of the Ethical Society at the time.
Oh, I didn't know you had been president
Yes,
of the Ethical
yes, and
Society,
they-
which for our audience is, you have the Fraternal Order of Police, or St. Louis Police Association, that's predominantly white officers.
And we had the Ethical
Police
Society, which is predominantly black.
Right. And that's interesting, you have to create two.
Yes,
two
yes,
police,
yes. There is a black and there's a white.
Right.
So when I started working with them, it's just, that it was moving at the time, my spirit was. And I started getting death threats and letters from police officers. I can't wait till you go on call by yourself. Maybe you can call your worthless black community, your worthless black organizations, and you don't know who you playing with. And I understood that relationship between us against them. But I continued to speak out. And then there became a situation where there was
Let me interject. You just took me back to my own interactions because, I've gotten a few threats myself.
Yes, yes.
Boom, you dead, nigger,
yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I remember the police chief of, not police chief, the head of the St. Louis Police Officers Association. I can't think of it. Not Gephardt.
It's Gary Wingard.
Uyghur, and I'm testifying for community control of police up at the Missouri Capitol, and he testified against what we were for. And he said the only reason he's against is because Zaki Baruti is for it. I never forget that in my life. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And at the time, Ronald Denny was the president of the Police Association, and he and I were constantly at odds.
Right.
But it was a little bit deeper than that. Then they accused me of somehow the police exam was mailed to me because I was talking about how blacks continuously fail the promotional exam and whites get promoted. Well, this test was mailed to me, and I brought it to light, and it ended up being that I was the one that stole the test and broke in the police department, and I orchestrated this whole lie. And this is what happened according to them.
Right.
And it was amazing.
Yes, but we got to take another quick break.
I hope you're enjoying the Zaki Baruti show. Now we need your help to get the word out about this community affair program and so many others. Now, how do you do that? Well, you tell folks to turn to 24.2 on their television set, and even family, friends, relatives that live outside of the area, well, get them to put the NLEC TV app on their phones and look it up on their computer. 24 hours of wholesome family programming. So much community programming that you're not getting on other stations right here on NLEC TV. So please spread the word. And while you're doing that, continue to get involved in the work of the New Life Evangelistic Center. So many opportunities awaiting you and your family at this particular time. New Life Evangelistic Center is on the front lines with first responders, directly helping homeless people day after day after day. Behind me are the new headquarters for the New Life Evangelistic Center, along with the studios for NLEC TV or 24.2. You may want to drop by and visit them sometime. This is where we record the Zaki Baruti program at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. New Life Evangelistic Center is offering homeless people so many opportunities to be set free from the cycle of homelessness, has a wide variety of safe houses, and so many women and children are staying there, and they're learning all different kinds of different skills, all kinds of skills here at 2428 Woodson Road. We also have the training centers in New Bloomfield, Missouri, Marshfield, Missouri, the largest daytime walk-in facility, southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas at 806 North Jefferson, in Springfield, Missouri, the worldwide work of the New Life Evangelistic Center in Kakata, India, and then in Lagos, Nigeria, and in Haiti, all over New Life Evangelistic Center trying to help people that are in need. New Life Evangelistic Center receives no city, state, or federal dollars, and we're only able to do this as a result of the prayers and involvement of caring people like you. So please pray for this work, and please partner with the New Life Evangelistic Center so we continue to keep the Zaki Baruti Show and the other community affair programs on the air. Remember, tell everyone you know about it, and go to the NLEC TV app.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. In the studio with me is history maker, Police Chief Dennis Shireff of Northwood Police Department in the municipality of St. Louis County. And on the other side, you were just describing
Yes.
a second incident.
Yes, yes. They accused me of taking a promotional exam and said I broke in the police department and I went and found a locker. I must have known what a locker was, but that was a lie as well. I'm still here, and if I was breaking into anything of all places, a police department, I would have definitely been brought up on charges and locked up. So that was the understanding that I understand now, put it that way, that, you know, you take the eyes off of the truth and you put it on somebody else, just like a young man who is trying his best to go to work, a black man, and trying to make a living. And you accuse him of something and you put it on TV and you go back to his criminal record to justify why you did what you did.
Right.
And that's why we're finding out that so many people have been put into prison unjustifiably, and they've been denied due process because of these type of things happen within the police department. Now today it's more clandestine, and nobody wants to change the way the system is. We're not saying that, you know, we want this system to be unjust for black people. We want this system to be right for black people, and we want it to be right for everybody. And if you lock this person up for drugs, you don't charge him 15, 20 years because of his color, and then you charge this white guy with probation, you charge everybody the same. That's the only way we can do that. And then until we change that perception, then we're going to continue to have problems within our police departments across America.
So with that said, and your interaction with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, eventually you left.
Yes.
But you stayed in law enforcement.
Yes.
So your transition, and I'm going to have you on for a second show too, because there's so much that we got to get to. So you went from St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. Was there one defining event that said, I can't take it no more and I'm moving on? Because you retired after 17 years. That was short of...
Well, they terminated me. I didn't retire.
They terminated you.
Yeah, they found a lie to terminate me.
Okay.
And they did everything that they could. I thank Colonel Ron Henderson for his fight to try to change things around, but he was overwhelmed by the majority of police officers. And those police officers belong to the police association. And
Henderson was at one time the police chief.
Yes,
okay.
yes. He did it. I think, you know, I have to take my hat off to him. He really fought. And he fought for our community, and he tried his best, not just for our community, because he was a police chief for everyone.
Okay.
And he did the best that he could with what he had.
So what was the cause for termination, real quick?
Well,
on that?
they said that, what was it, 5 years, I received 5 disciplines in a 3-year period. And they brought that back up again when they tried to use it against Henderson. The community came out in masses in support of that because they knew that they were setting me up to be terminated. And so he came out and he really looked at it, and he had other people look at it. He didn't agree with it. But when Joe Mocha came in, Joe Mocha decided to use that as a way of getting rid of me, and he just added a few charges on to it.
Which Joe Mocha, if my memory serves me right, was caught up in a lot of scandalous activity himself as police chief. The towing.
The towing incident. Yes.
Right.
So it's amazing how when you do wrong, and wrong will definitely follow you. But going back to Ron O'Dani, he was the one that really put it out that I was a liar and I was stealing the test and I was creating animosity between black and white, and he ended up being arrested for child molestation. Brockosby, the guy that was in personnel at the time, he died. He was part of the scandal as well. So all the ones who were a part of my demise, see, God works in mysterious ways, and now they're not here.
Right.
So you have to be careful with how you treat people.
All right, on that note, we're going to take another break.
As New Life Evangelistic Center works to get back into the 1411 Locust building, it has first responders that are on the streets day after day. It's helping the hurting and homeless, women and children through a wide variety of safe houses, along with homeless veterans and others that are in need, on-the-job training programs, and much more. And all of it's possible because of those of you that are supporting the work of the New Life Evangelistic Center. It's New Life Evangelistic Center that owns and operates NLEC TV, also seen on your set on 24.2. I want to encourage you to have that app put on your phone, NLEC TV. Encourage your family and friends to do the same. And as you support New Life Evangelistic Center and NLEC TV, you're also helping the Zaki Baruti Show and other programs that New Life Evangelistic Center produces. I'm asking you to please continue New Life, keep New Life in your prayers as we're working to be there when people are hurting. There's so many homeless women and children, so many people that are in need, and it's the prayers of caring people like you that make it possible for us to help each and every one of these individuals.
John 11, verses 25 and 26.
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die.
What does God want you to do as a Christian? He wants you to devote your entire life to loving Him, placing Him first in your life. And from that place of devotion and love, He wants you to love others and to serve them as you love yourself. This means loving the immigrant. This means loving the homeless panhandler. This means loving the criminal. This means loving your neighbor and your enemy equally. So love the Christian who's sitting in the pew next to you, no matter where they're at in life. Love the person in greater need by extending hospitality, grace, kindness, and love. Love with your actions, because that's what God requires of you. If you truly love God, you will love others well, recognizing that He loves you first.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me, the history maker, the first police chief of Islam faith, Brother Dennis Shireff. And we're kind of going into his history at the St. Louis Police Metropolitan Police Department. We have not even gotten to him being chief, so we don't have a second part with him presently in the position that he's in. But his history of being outspokenness is something that need to be shared, which we're doing right now. So, so you were terminated after 17 years.
Yes.
And after your termination, you stayed in law enforcement, though.
Yes, yes.
You know, and then you reminded me, I cannot bring up the names of a couple brothers up in Chicago who were very outspoken police officers too. I mean, we have to salute
a ton
those.
of them. Yes.
Yes,
I know a ton of them.
But so you went from there to what police department?
I ended up going to Pine Line for a short stint, and then the Berkeley Police Department. And from Berkeley, I retired from Berkeley, and now I'm the Chief of Northwoods.
Okay, then.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at now.
So you have had a combined number of the 17 years with Berkeley and Pine Line for how many years?
So a total of 35 now.
35 years,
yes.
Okay then. And you're still young, and you're still handsome, and you're still energetic.
Yes.
How long you plan on staying in law enforcement?
Till God tells me I can sit down.
Okay.
But, you know, sometimes I tell people all the time, until the job is done, I can't go home. Until our people are free and treated fairly. But we have to look at it on the scales of justice as well. Just as much as I want my people to be free and my community to be free, my community has to change the direction in which it's going. And sometimes we have to be held accountable for what we do.
Absolutely. And I guess that's where we have to have, I mean, the logic as I was coming to the studio, you know, in every society you do have on the, some form of policing or law enforcement.
Yes.
You know, in the communist societies, socialist society, Islamic societies, because you do have misbehavior.
That's right.
From people in different communities.
Right.
But it's a matter of how you treat people in the
True.
form of justice that
True.
comes as an extension of that,
True.
which I guess both of us agree we do not receive much of justice
True.
here. But I want to close out, you're going to be in part two as the
Yes.
new police chief. I want to thank those people who have tuned in to our show. I failed to mention that go to UAPO News World to get some of our past shows on YouTube, as well as I encourage everybody to join a progressive organization. We say join the Universal African Peoples Organization. Always vote, and may God bless each and every one of you. Peace.